Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. You retweeted our friend Allison Gill, who said, Nada and Trump took a secret trip from Bedminster to Mar-a-Lago in July 2022, coming down to Florida soon. This trip was after the subpoena, before the search, and about a week before the LIV Saudi golf tournament at Bedminster and Ivana's funeral. I don't know if you've seen these latest pictures and video of all of our national security secrets strewn all over the place and in golf shirts and, yada, yada. But this is new, this mysterious trip. Just a week before, as we said, the FBI would execute a search warrant to retrieve the documents. At least one witness who worked closely with the former president recalled being told at the time of the trip that Trump was there, quote, checking on the boxes. And yet we're stuck with this Judge Cannon. What happens to our national security if this case just goes away?
Well, I don't think this case is going away. I think that Judge Cannon has already proved her bias. Look, anytime I want to open my mouth about this, I just repeat what Glenn Kirshner says, right? Smith has many tools right now in which he could get her disqualified. He is playing this out to the nth degree. I think it's just going to end up, she's going to be overridden, and then she's going to be forced to recuse, and one of the other calmer, judges will take over this case. But it won't be tried before the election. Yeah. She refused to set a speedy trial date of August 12th. Now she said ruled it will be indefinite.
Yeah.
These people are in the pocket for Trump. It is a sign that, yes, you can buy judges, and the judiciary's entire credibility is at stake here. Yeah. But even more at stake is the national security of the United States. I saw those photographs. You know what the first thing I thought was? The TV show Hoarders.
Yes.
Just crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he's a crazy old man.
And strewn everywhere. Does he sit in his diapers, nude, and sort through that at night and look at the documents and wonder, read the press clippings and put on his, golf cleats that he won and hold up his trophies? Because that's what a hoarder would do. And this guy's nuts enough for me to
we know from Bedminster that he likes to dig through it and show it all to people who are visiting him.
I love that the Iran war plan was in a place with his golf cleats. So,
Yeah.
I love that someone might have been, sir, there's some holes in this plan. No, like literally there's holes from your golf shoes.
Right.
This is why we're in this Trumpian nightmare we are still in. Malcolm, I saved this for you because it is terrifying. I'm going to read it to you. You could have written it, but it is what you just mentioned, plot to hack America, but 2024. Vladimir Putin and his strategists are just as eager for Trump to retake office in order to realize their geopolitical goals. According to Vanity Fair, from the moment Trump was elected, the word Yalta became one of the most popular among Kremlin officials, a reference to how Stalin was able to convince his then American British allies in World War II to legitimize his sphere of influence. They were confident that Trump was the right person to agree to such a spectacle. Putin simply believed Trump was morally close and understandable to him, a fellow cynic who also thought money solved everything. The fantasies of Kremlin strategists involve Trump and Putin meeting somewhere neutral like Fiji. The two will carve up the world together and create a new order for each country. While fantasizing about the future for the U.S. order under Trump, the Kremlin harbors another dream. It sees it as the ultimate revenge for the Cold War defeat and the collapse of the USSR. Putin's current advisors are confident the U.S. will eventually disintegrate, breaking into several pieces like the Soviet Union ultimately did. This would require the right conditions and a leader who could plunge the country into chaos. You might be surprised, but the nickname used for Trump in the Kremlin is the American Gorbachev. For Putin, being a former KGB officer, he sees Gorbachev as a demagogue and a narcissist whose empty pandering and lack of strategy caused the end of the Soviet Union. Just a little more, and Trump will agree to a new Yalta, and then the U.S. will disintegrate and Russia will win the Cold War, wrote one Russian. Vladimir Putin believes his dream is not so unattainable. I opened the show, Malcolm, saying, do not vote for the people America's enemies want to win. But this is kind of terrifying, isn't it?
Why, yes, it is terrifying. That anyone who is just listening to that should be mortified. I even stopped looking at the Duke of Gloucester porcelain salad and dessert plate set just because...
I upset you.
Because Russia has a strategy. We do not. Our strategy is to go to the polls and let good people try to outvote the other side. The other side strategy is to side with the enemies of democracy and utterly destroy it.
Yeah.
We are talking, America is on the cusp of descending into a right-wing evangelical dictatorship, and Moscow will piggyback back to glory as the United States disintegrates while you're all out there at, Chick-fil-A and Dunkin' Donuts and being mad about your single issue, whatever it is. Show it. If it's not women's rights, it's not the single issue you should be focused on.
Yep. And Malcolm,
And democracy.
thank you. Story number 11 billion. Russians they're the bad guys. The international court seeks the arrest of the Russian defense minister and chief of staff over attacks on Ukrainian civilian targets. The court is accusing them of war crimes. Again, enemy of America, bad guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And those two guys are the chair of the Secretary of Defense and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's the equivalent of them in Russia. If even some low-level general had that in the United States, the press would be having a field day. We let this stuff go by without a blip and start wondering more about, whether TikTok is going to put out more cat videos or not. We have got to refocus ourselves into understanding that last comment, by the way, about women's rights, that is the defense of democracy.
Yep.
It will be the deciding factor in whether we become a dictatorship or not. And I have women right now telling me they will not vote for Joe Biden or their own rights or your rights, gay rights, black rights, women's rights.
Okay, story number 11 billion and one. Russia, bad guys. Wall Street Journal editor-in-chief condemned the pretrial detention and bogus accusations of espionage faced by the outlet's reporter Evan Gershkovich on the first day of his trial. As the first day of his trial in Russia begins, she predicted the trial will inevitably lead to a bogus conviction for an innocent man. And meanwhile, I saved this one, I don't know, because this is just everybody now in the Republican Party. Republican candidate for Missouri Secretary of State is demanding that Brittany Greer be sent back to rot in a Russian prison because she's an unpatriotic lesbian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't say it.
Uh-oh, don't say it.
Don't say it.
Don't
Don't
swear.
say it.
All right. I ain't saying nothing. Look. If there's any consolation, sitting in front of me is that Colonial Williamsburg sells a Moscow Mule mug for that representative.
They do.
All right? She should just get right back to Moscow and get on with her life, because we have this entire class of Americans who have decided that being an American means nothing. But again, back to those of you who have some sort of flaw or minority or some status in which the right wing would send you to a concentration camp, or back to Russia to prison for being black, tall, a high-point shooter, and a lesbian. Your day is coming. You're going to get a chance to decide whether you go to that camp or whether you fight for democracy. Holy, don't tell me there's an 11 billionth and two. I just can't take it.
No. I don't want to push you too far. I can tell I'm this close to losing my FCC license.
And now a story about a puppy.
And now.
Hey, but wait, they got Tureens on this website, yo.
Oh, Tureens.
Ooh.
Wow.
Pay attention to me. This is important. All right, Malcolm. This is about
the only thing that's keeping me from exploding.
Shopping for Tureens.
This is about our national
Centennials.
security.